As you can see, we're back at the bar. It's Bud Light. What's on Tap? What's on Tap is brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. And here's the matchups with the highest point totals. Nothing is as easy to enjoy as a Sunday full of football and a fridge full of beer, but these are the games we're locking in on, starting with the Dolphins at Chiefs. The Chiefs are favored by 2 points in this game. This line is now at 50.5 points. And the first question I have here for you, Matthew, is can Raheem Mostert rebound after back-to-back quiet games? You know, he's been a little banged up as well, but he will play in this game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think it matters, and I'll tell you why I don't think it matters. You're starting him. His name is Raheem Must Start. You're legally required to start him. Like, them's the rules. I didn't make them up, but, you have to. The question is do you think the Dolphins move the ball against the Chiefs? And I do. So in essence, I'm starting him. I have Raheem Mostert at running back 8. I'm all in, right? I mean, again, they've allowed at least 75 rushing yards to a running back in back-to-back games. The Chiefs have, right? I mean, and so if you're telling me a running back is going to get 75 yards against them, it's most likely going to be Raheem Mostert, right? They also allow 4.5 yards per carry to running backs this season. That's 7th highest as well. And so if they get in scoring position, Mostert, it seems to be their guy. I think that they will focus, the Chiefs will focus for a variety of reasons on slowing down Tirico Hill. They're going to, because no team is in the NFL knows better than the Chiefs what Tirico Hill can bring to an offense. And so that will be the focal point, in my belief, of what to do. And so I think they'll play deep, they'll play too high, they're going to try to bump up. Anyway, I think running lanes will be open for Raheem Mostert and the Miami Dolphins. So yeah, I'm as a top 10 play. I know it's been a quiet couple of weeks, but I'm in on Raheem Must Start.
I agree. In addition to it being a focal point, the Chiefs are just better at defending the passing game as well. They're more vulnerable to the run, so that'll play into Mostert's hands as well. I also like that the Dolphins, they've flown over to Germany well before the Chiefs. I don't understand how there isn't just a uniform approach to that. Like, surely someone just figures out what's the best way to do about this, like, scientifically, and everyone just do that. But everyone does a different thing. But going over earlier seems to have worked more in the past. So I like that for Raheem Mostert. Look, it's going to be a high-scoring game, and even if you're low on Raheem Mostert, he's a still no-brainer start.
We kind of hinted at this, Jay. I wanted to ask you. We've seen the Dolphins play. We've seen them blow out some poor teams. They have an incredible offense. There's no denying that. But we've also seen them stumble a little bit where they've set their bar against the better teams, and the Chiefs absolutely fit that bill. Do you think this is a game where Miami can actually beat a really good opponent and show, no, we are for real, we're not just beating up on, the minnows of the sea here in the NFL?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. And look, we all love Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel won the press conference in Germany.
Yes, he does.
His comment about being bigger in person. But sneaky thing about Mike McDaniel is he's lost every single big game he's ever played with the that he's ever coached for the Dolphins. They haven't stood up. They got blown out by Buffalo. They got blown out by the Eagles on Sunday Night Football. So this is a massive test for them. I think the Chiefs are just a slightly better team. But what I'm most interested in with this game is how much does Jalen Ramsey just completely change the complexion of this Miami defense? Because that's been their issue. That's how they got destroyed by Buffalo, because they couldn't do anything with Stephon Diggs. Now they have Jalen Ramsey, who looked like himself last week. And so that's the real key, I think. Because if he's back to being himself, then all of a sudden that defense is a strength.
The Eagles were the better team on Sunday night, but I will say this. Like, Tirico Hill, I know this drove me crazy because this killed my parlay that I had that night. But, like, honestly, like, Tirico Hill had a ball wide open, and he runs a little bit too fast in his knee, and he bounces it up. And if he comes down with that ball, where 99 out of 100 times he's coming down with that ball, he has a clear path to the end zone, and he gets that touch. You know what I mean? And so I feel like Dolphins definitely did not get any help from the referees there as well. Again, Eagles were the better team, but I think in a better officiated game and Tirico Hill making a normal Tirico Hill play, I think the narrative of them, they can't play with the big boys, changes, because I think that would have been a much closer competitive game.
Yep, no, I agree. I think the Dolphins are very live in that. I think this is a coin flip game.
Our next one.
I'll say I like the Chiefs. But it's interesting because the public, it opened, I think, at -3, right? It's now down to -2. So the public is coming in on the Dolphins, it sounds like.
Yep, there has been some momentum for the Dolphins. I think some of that is actually the Chiefs traveling over later. People really don't like that in the market.
Yeah.
Our next one here, Sunday Night Football, the Bills at the Bengals. The Bengals are favored by 2 points in this one. The point total is now at 50.5 here. And Matthew, we got to see a career-high 9 receptions for Gabe Davis last week. Do you think this is a sign of things to come or kind of a flash in the pan?
I hope so, because I think this is the thing that was most exciting to me wasn't just obviously the targets, but the fact of the matter is like his average depth of target was 6.7 yards. Prior to that game, it had been over 15. Again, nothing but just deep downfield stuff, and that was the case with him last year. Just all this deep downfield stuff that's so boom or bust. Like, if he hits him in stride and he gets a step, then okay, but otherwise, no, it falls short. But using him in a bunch of different routes, using him close to the line of scrimmage, honestly, more like a real wide receiver that has an expanded route tree versus just this guy who's, go fast and let me see if I can hit you in stride. And so if they do that, and we talked about this, the fact that they are playing so much more 11 personnel, they've done it in over 70% of their snaps each of the last 3 games. And so I'm sort of buying this with Gabe Davis as well. We know he's going to be looked for when they get in close. He's top 5 in the NFL in end zone targets this season. He's got 3 in the last 2 games as well. He's been fairly touchdown dependent this year. I mean, when he doesn't score a touchdown, he averages under 4 fantasy points per game. But I'm at wide receiver 28, so I am as a wide receiver 3 this week. And I think that if you're sort of deciding in that range, give me the upside of Gabe Davis. Again, I want to see it again before I move him higher up. But I think if they use him, if they're not just chucking it to him deep and they're using this kind of expanded route tree that we saw last week against Tampa Bay, I think good things can happen for a talented player.
Yeah, and I think Dawson Knox going on IR has kind of lucked the Bills into this 11 personnel thing where now it's like an NBA team that just has more shooters on the floor. It's just a more space floor. The offense just looks more pristine. And I think they're going to beat the Bengals on Sunday night. I know they're 2-point dogs, but I don't really agree with the line. The Bills were 6-point favorites against the Bengals in the playoffs. Now that game was at home. You're flipping it over now. They're 2-point dogs away to the Bengals when they're on extended rest as well. Allen was full practice yesterday. He's good to go. And I know everyone thinks like Joe Burrow is all the way back and he's 100%. I agree, but I think he was that way 3 weeks ago against the Cardinals when he completely lit them up and he was running for first downs and his metrics underlying stuff around, how he was evading pressure, he seemed healthy. And in between that, they weren't very good against the Seahawks. So I think the idea that Burrow is healthy is correct. I just think he's already been healthy, and the offense wasn't all world against the Seahawks. So I think the Bills are the better team, and I think they'll win on Sunday.
Yeah, it is pretty interesting. Again, and I think you bring up a good point. The last time we saw Buffalo was the Thursday night game against Tampa Bay 10 days ago. So they've had the mini bye, and this is obviously a game they've had circled on their calendar for quite some time, Connor.
Our final one here, Cowboys at Eagles. The Eagles are favored by 3 points against Dallas. The point total in this one is 47. And Jay, something we routinely talk about with the Cowboys is Tony Pollard, or the lack thereof, with this Dallas run game. Is Tony Pollard at this point buy, sell, or just really hold out that he's going to get it going behind this Dallas offensive line?
I think you have to hold out. I mean, Pollard's year has been very disappointing. He's not having the explosive plays that he did last year, but he's still productive. He's still getting a ton of work for Dallas. And the thing is that we forget with Tony Pollard, he broke his leg in January, literally broke his leg. So I think he's having maybe some difficulty coming back off that, but it's not a great matchup against the Eagles and their run defense. I think you beat them through the air, but the good thing is that Pollard can give you work through the air as well. So look, Tony Pollard, you're starting him every week, and if you're selling him now, it's at a low point. I think there's much more scope for him to go up in value than down.
Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys offense, just in general, really struggled to start up, and then finally the last couple of weeks, the passing game has gotten going, right? We haven't seen it from the run game yet, but hopefully the success of Dak Prescott, he looks better. The CeeDee Lamb, my guy, 8. Brandon Cooks is starting to come alive. They've found something in Jake Ferguson.
Absolutely.
Hopefully that all of that combined now opens up stuff for Tony Pollard. I think you're concerned, just to give you a stat, Jay, based on what you said about the lack of explosive plays. He's had his yards per carry this year, 3.9. Only 6% of his rushes this year have gone 10 or more yards. That is down 16% from last season. Now, is that because he bulked up in the offseason knowing that he was going to have a bigger role? Is he somewhat slower? Because is it because McCarthy is just running him up the middle and not a super creative play caller and not getting him into space the way he was last year when he was a complement to Ezekiel Elliott? Is it just, again, the offense has been bad, and they're like, let's fix Dax in the passing game first, and now let's worry about the run game, or we just haven't needed it. The defense has been so good at times that they haven't, they've had kind of this luxury, if you will. To your point, Jay, though, he's Tony Pollard. You're starting him. If he's on your team, he was your first-round pick this year. I'm at running back 7 this week. I actually like him this week. I think he rebounds. This year, when he's gotten at least 15 touches, he's averaging 18.6 fantasy points per game. Against the Eagles, I think he gets that kind of workload.
Yeah. What do you think is wrong with Pollard? Do you think, because when I watch the games, it's just there's no space for him to move.
They're predictable. They're a predictable team with Mike McCarthy calling the plays, like you said, where they are very predictable of when they run, how they run. And here's the thing for Dallas that you could say. In the past years, their line has been so good that didn't even always matter, especially with a different running style in Ezekiel Elliott. But now it does matter, and it's great for Dallas that they could throw. They could drop back with Dak. They have different options besides CD. I think Ferguson's been great this year. But, Jay, I just think when it comes down to it, the getting hit at the line of scrimmage for a running back that's not really a bruising running back and the lack of creativity, the way they run, has affected Pollard in the biggest way.
So 2 quick things here. Number one is just to your point about asking, like, should you trade, should you sell him? Absolutely not. In fact, I'd actually try to buy low on him right now because look at this. After Philadelphia, and that we know is not a great matchup here. Giants, Panthers, Washington. So 3 really good matchups for Tony Pollard. So even if he doesn't do anything this week, actually, I wouldn't mind trying to acquire him because he should have good news. Just some updates that have just sort of come in here. By the way, Deshaun Watson officially will start on Sunday as well. 11 minutes ago, this came in via John Glennon, who writes, according to Vrabel, he tweeted this out. This is all from the Fantasy Life app. Not ready to name Levis the starter. We'll have a depth chart conversation over the weekend, see where things stand on Tuesday. He's going to be the starter, but he's just not doing that. Frank Reich says Chobu Hubbard will continue to start at running back, but it will be a committee approach. Hubbard's the only running back you want there. And then finally, Jonathan Gannon says they haven't decided who will start for the Cardinals at quarterback against the Browns on Sunday. He said they'll likely decide on the plane today or tomorrow whether it's Kyler Murray or Clayton Tune, and they've had a good week of practice.
That line has been moving towards Arizona. So the market thinks that Kyler's
starting.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's a big change.
That is a big change. Again, Kyler Murray is not 100% rostered. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Now, he's rostered in all the leagues I play in because I play with people who know what they're doing. But you out there might not be playing in a league with everyone that knows what they're doing. So go get Kyler Murray if he's still available in your league.
It's the nicest thing you ever said about Jay and I. I play fantasy with people that know what they're doing.
Yeah, you guys know what you're doing.
Yeah,
Thank you,
for the most part. I mean, you've got those Najee Harris, Michael Thomas blind spots.
Yeah.
But no, you guys absolutely know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean,
That'll do it for what's
I'm
on.
in first place in that league. I'm just saying.
You are.
Kills me.
It does kill them.
Yeah. I'm
So
5-3,
great.
and I'm the most fraudulent 5-3 team there's ever been.
That'll do it for what's on
Steelers.
tap.
You and the Steelers.
You and the Steelers. Presented by Bud
Both
Light. Easy to
fraudulent.
Sunday, easy to enjoy. We're going to break. When we're back, it's last call. Jay and I got our pickup lines of the week for Matthew.
Vroom, vroom. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotorWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.